I'm going to look at an Arcam AVP700 that, according to the customer, doesn't work right. But he's one of these guys that buys stuff and then sells it on eBay, and I don't think he really knows a hell of a lot about it. He just thinks there's a problem. So I'm going to take a look at it and see if there is a problem, and hopefully not going to waste too much time on this, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it myself. Here we have an Arcam AVP700. This is an AV processor, preamp, no amplifier in this at all. It does all of your processing and decoding, and it has a problem with the HDMI, according to the owner. So if we look on the back of the unit, you'll see that it has an antenna input because it does have an AM/FM tuner in it, but no amplifier. You also have tape in and out, CD input, DVD audio input, or no, DVD, I guess this is, yeah, audio input. So you can even hook up a DVD player that's got discrete front, left, front, right, rear surround, or right surround, left surround, right SB and left SB, so that's the effects channel, and center and sub. And it's got the outputs here. It's got a second zone output. Then you got your standard AV inputs, S video and composite for tape, auxiliary, satellite, auxiliary in and out. It's a DVD sat AV input, auxiliary in and out, VCR in and out, zone 2 out, composite monitor out, zone 2 monitor out. You've also got a digital output on here, and coaxial and optical, and DVD inputs for coax for DVD and AV, and then optical inputs for SAT, auxiliary, and tape. And then you've got your outputs. So you've got front, right, front left, center channel, rear right surround, left surround, RSB and LSB, and your subwoofer. And they're all composite, and they're all balanced outputs. So you can hook this into multiple amplifiers. HDMI in for DVD, SAT, and an HDMI out, which feeds to the TV. It should strip the audio off the HDMI and provide outputs on either the unbalanced or CA type outputs, as well as the balanced outputs. And he's complaining that the HDMI is not working. So we're going to pull the top off this, and then we're going to connect it up and see whether we can find out why. Is it just the connector that's broken that can be resoldered, or is it damaged? Don't know. So we're going to get in onto this one and see what we can find. Shouldn't even be doing this today. It's too hot. It's the hottest day of the year so far, but we're heading into a heat wave here. It's only 26 in here, but it feels hotter because the humidity is actually quite high today. So it feels closer to 30 Celsius. I stepped from the house, which has got air conditioning, out to the shop, which does not, and I feel it. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. That's not Phillips. That is a security bit, which I just so happen to have. It's a number 2, or no, number one Torx security. Might not have the pin, I can't see it from here, but I do have the bit for it. So does it have a pin, or is it just a Torx? This one's not the security bit, just a Torx, but I've got the bit with the hole in it, so it don't matter. I can remove them. What a company, right? Regular Phillips screws on the back and then Torx on the side. Who would have thought, you know? Like you would think that's something that Phillips would do. Oh, they'd use Torx everywhere. But yeah, you know, I mean, come on, use the same screws. What's the point in using different screws for the side as opposed to the back? Use the same screws. All you're doing is pissing off the servicers that have to go and look for another bit. Okay, screws are out. Take the top cover off this piece of... I'm not going to say what I think it is until I open it up and see how well it's built. Arcams generally are pretty good though, so... Ta-da! That's what you call a nicely built piece of equipment. Unlike some of the stuff that we've seen lately, there's a lot of crap floating around, and this seems to be built extremely well. Look at this fine Chinese quality here. You're saying, what? Arcam? Well, they're made in the UK, aren't they? Well, maybe they were at one time, but not this one. It says on the back here, made in PRC. Guess where that is? Designed in Cambridge, UK. Made in the People Republic of China. So here's some great fine Chinese quality. Good soldering. Here, look at this. They've gone through and it looks like they've touched these ones up by hand. Love it. So let's just take a peek at these HDMI connectors, because I'm thinking maybe this is where my problem is. I'm going to get my monitor going here and get the HDMI cable plugged in, and I'll get another one plugged into my cable box. We'll see if we get a picture. So his complaint was that one of the HDMI inputs, I forget whether it was a satellite or the DVD input, didn't work, but I've got my input plugged in and I'm wiggling the connector around here and it is working on my TV. We'll try the other one. That's the DVD input. We'll try the SAT input, which is the next one over. So I'm going to pull this board. I'm going to look at these pins here to make sure none of them are loose. It's working now. We'll take a look at this board. We'll look at it close up. So I'm going to pull the board and we'll take a look. Okay, this is the HDMI input. I'm just looking at this with my magnifiers and seeing if any of these pins move when I don't see them moving. Look at them on the camera here. Sometimes easier to see them on the camera than it is even with my magnifiers on. That one looks okay. How about this other one? I wonder if it's just his cable. Or if he's one of these idiots that has a 4K device and this doesn't support 4K. There's lots of them out there. You know, people that buy a 4K, they get a 4K cable box and their amplifier is not compatible and it won't pass the signal. And some of them won't even pass it in 1080 because it has to support the HDCP 2.0. I don't see any connection problems on those HDMI ports. How's the actual connector look itself? Bring the camera back a bit so it'll focus a little bit on the close side for it to go into a sharp focus there. There we go. don't see any broken pins. This may be a case of a defective customer that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's always a good possibility. I'm going to plug a Blu-ray player in next, and we'll try a Blu-ray player on it. But from what I can see, this is certainly passing a signal from the DVD input over to the TV. Plug this back in, and let's say next I'll plug my Blu-ray player in, and I'll try playing something off of the Blu-ray. Plug it into the DVD input here, and the output. DVD input. Okay, I figured out what's going on here. This unit is pretty old. It's about 15 years old. It does not support decoding audio off of HDMI. The HDMI audio passes straight through to the TV. If we remember looking at the board, those two connectors I unplugged. One was power, one was control, and one was the one with the little coax lines on it, was actually the component video, to take component video back to switching on here for outputting it as an S video or a composite output. That's also where they would put on-screen graphics and stuff. The on-screen graphics is only working on the composite output. So if you need to set it up, you have to hook it up to a composite input. To get digital sound off of Blu-ray, you have to connect it either to the coaxial digital input or optical digital input or analog. When it's on DVD mode, if we look down here on the display, analog audio. It'll do digital audio from the digital input, but it does not decode it from the HDMI. The HDMI audio is just passed straight through to the TV. And a lot of the old devices did that. So he's expecting to plug his HDMI in into this unit and expecting to get his 7-channel sound out the analog outputs. And that's not how this works. You have to plug in both an optical cable and your HDMI, and then it'll pick the sound off of the digital connection, whether it be coaxial or Toslink. Well, Toslink optical. Toslink coaxial or Toslink optical. Same thing, just one's optical and one's coaxial. Anyway, waste my time. This is what happens. People buy stuff and they don't really understand what it's supposed to do, and then they bring it down for me to hold their hand and tell them, well, yeah, what you bought isn't, what you're wanting it to do, it's not going to do because this unit isn't designed for it. Anyway, that's my rant for this. This is another fine, I'm sure, eBay purchase, and I'm sure it'll end up back on eBay again, because the guy that brought it to me, well, he flips stuff. He flips stuff. He's the guy that brought me that Macintosh DVD player that he picked up for a couple $100 and sold it to some sucker after I replaced the belt. After I replaced the belt in it, sold it for $1,300. He paid $200 for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. As I say on eBay, there's a sucker born every minute.